Happy Monday. We are here with my podcast, Mental Massage Monday, otherwise known as 3M. We're going to hop right into some audio samples to see if we can find you something good to listen to while you work out, while you cook, or while you just kick back and get your brain massaged. The first book of the day is titled Fizz and Rhea 2, Caught by a Boss. Let's check it out while I perfect my makeup, or at least try to. Here we go.
I'm trying to set some shit up thinking I'm gonna come off the money. Well, you won't see a fucking dime, she said as she pulled her gun out, took the safety off and pointed it toward me. Whoa, are you fucking serious? Kia, don't fucking point that shit at me, I said, grabbing the gun out of her hand and putting it under my seat, all while trying to focus on the road. I looked at her and knew she was just acting out because she didn't know what else to do. But pulling a gun on me was the wrong move. Kia, listen, I know you're scared, but why would I do something like that? I have money. I would never take money from you or try to get money out of you, I said, trying to assure her that I had nothing to do with Rhea getting kidnapped for ransom. Oh, but you damn sure took $8,000 from me? Took that shit with no hesitation, she yelled. Kia, I was actually waiting on a good time to give you the money back. I had my accountant write you a check. It'll be from my club, Core, because I hate tracing information back to me.
You had no business
It'll be
taking
like
it in
I'm
the
paying
first
for a
place,
service
though.
that you provided for me. Miss me with that money shit, I'm a fucking boss. Why the fuck would I need $1 million from a bitch when I got triple that shit? I said, letting her piss me off.
Excuse you.
I should have just kept my cool, but she was pissing me off to the max. We made it to Fizz's house, and the first person I noticed was this little freak I used to fuck with. She worked as a forensic scientist, and we kept her on payroll for her expertise. I knew she was there for a reason, and I needed to find out what reason that was. I jumped out the car and walked right behind her as she was walking back into Fizz's house with our maid, Maria. Kia was right on my heels. Kim, what the fuck happened here? Where's Fizz? I asked, walking up to her as she gathered her things. Well, hello, Mr. Edgman. I think you know what happened here, and Fizz was supposed to be on his way to the hospital, but you know how your brother can be. Your cleanup crew just left, and I was called to make sure nothing was left behind. I did have to clean up a few things, so tell your crew they're getting sloppy, she said. Hospital? Is he okay? Please, tell me what's going on. Was Nikki with him? I asked, looking at how thick her ass had gotten. That shouldn't have even been on my mind, but damn. He is okay. He was screaming at Nikki because she made him go seek medical treatment. I'm guessing maybe he's not actually going to the hospital. I'll assume you know where he's going, she commented as she smirked while pulling her glasses off her head. I just need a name, Kim, I said. Mason. But like I said, tell your cleanup crew to be more careful. Oh, and who is this? The pick of the week? Kim said, eyeing Kia. Kim, please do not start that crazy shit. We keep you on payroll for a reason, I said, looking into her eyes. Yes, well, I'm done here. Maria, it's all yours. Bye, Mr. Edgman, she said, waving at Maria and passing me. I rubbed my hands down my face. Mason was dead. I'm guessing he pulled some shit with Fizz, but if Fizz needed medical attention, he must have shot Fizz. This shit wasn't making sense. I called Nikki's phone again and still no answer. I tried Fizz's and it went straight to voicemail. You mind telling me who the fuck that was and what's going on? He had said, looking at me. Damn, she was so quiet that I forgot she was even with me. Basically, Mason is dead. Our cleanup crew that takes care of the bodies left some blood behind, so Kim was called to finish their job and to make sure nothing can ever get traced back to us. She cleared this motherfucker out good. That's what she does. Kim and I had a thing back in the day about 2 years ago. Once we started doing business, I ended it. She's just salty because you're fine and all that good shit, but I need to find Fizz and Nikki, I said, trying to sum it up and hoping she wasn't pressed by Kim saying that shit about being my pick of the week. This shit is crazy. I have to find Rhea, so take me to my car, she said, walking away. You think I don't want to find Rhea? That's why I'm trying to find Fizz so we can piece this shit together. Matter of fact, let's go. I know where he and Nikki are, I said, walking out the house. Maria knew to lock up. She'd been in this family long enough to know how we got down. I was slipping. I needed to focus and think smart. I wasn't thinking, though. I should have known where Fizz was, but it was like something was distracting me. We were driving toward my mom's house. If Fizz wasn't going to the hospital, he was going to our mom's house. Our mom was a nurse for over 20 years, and she specialized in wound care. So many thoughts were going through my mind. I knew Mason wasn't shit. I looked over at Kia and she had tears coming down her face. I started thinking about Rhea and how she was going to miss her high school graduation. I knew she was probably scared, wherever she was. Leah, I'm so sorry this happened to Rhea, and I promise you we are going to do everything in our power to get her back. She didn't respond. I didn't pressure her to talk. I made it to my mom's house and Nikki's car was there. We walked in and we heard a lot of commotion coming.
Okay, that was it for that sample. Again, that one is titled Fizz and Rhea 2, Caught by a Boss. The author of this book is Tanisha Sims. The book is narrated by Ebony Mendez and Theodore Rose. It's an urban fiction read, so if you're into urban fiction, even if you're not into urban fiction, check it out. I'll be right back with book number 2. I'm back as promised. So how do you like my lipstick? I changed the color. I think this color matches better with the eyeshadow, but we're gonna see it. Check out a couple of other colors as we check out these audio samples. The next sample that we're gonna check out is titled 12 Years in the Saddle, written by the author is Will Nussel. He also narrated this book under the pseudonym Will the Ninja. This book is listed as a biography / autobiography. Let's check it out.
12 Years in the Saddle for Law and Order on the Frontiers of Texas by Sergeant W.J.L. Sullivan, Texas Ranger. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please contact LibriVox.org. 12 Years in the Saddle, chapters 1 through 9.
Let's go.
Chapter 1, A Runaway. I was born in Winston County, Mississippi, on the 10th day of July in 1851. My father had died 79 days before my birth, leaving my mother with 3 other children besides me. Later on, my mother married a Mr. Presley of Leake County, and 2 children were born to them. My stepfather moved with us to Bradley County, Arkansas, where my mother died when I was but 8 years of age. My stepfather married again. That left me, as it proved to be, in a bad predicament. I had no father nor mother, and my stepfather, after my mother's death, had married another woman. My only sister also married, and soon after that my brother Tom died, which left my older brother Jim and me to take care of ourselves as best we could. Our troubles had only begun, however, for in 1861 the Civil War broke out, and my stepfather, Mr. Presley, and my brother-in-law went to the front, where both were killed, fighting for the cause of the Confederacy. When Presley went to the war, he left Jim and me with his father-in-law, a Mr. James. It was a cruel fate for us to meet. Old Man James, as he was commonly called, was very hard on Jim and me. A merciless tyrant, with no feeling or principle, he beat us many times until we were so stunned and stupefied that we could not realize whether we were dead or alive. It is a terrible thing for poor, little, innocent children to fall into the tight, greedy clutches of such a man as this. James was known all over that section of the country as a hard character, and the soldiers stationed in that vicinity learned how brutal he was to my brother and me, and paid him a visit one night about 2 o'clock to adjust matters with him with the aid of a new rope, which one of the men carried for convenience on the horn of his saddle. There were about 25 in the party, and they called James out to the gate for an interview. One man in the squad, a Mr. Bloxam, had a greater grudge than the others against James, for the latter had stolen a fine milk cow from Bloxam's widowed daughter, of which fact Bloxam had informed the others of the party. After getting James out of the house, they asked him where the 2 little boys were who lived with him. James answered that they were in bed. They then told him to rouse us and bring us to the gate, which he promptly did. They asked us if we were living with old man Jonathan James. We told them that we were. Then they asked us if our stepfather and brother-in-law were not fighting in the war. We answered that they were. The soldiers then asked us if it was not true that James beat and abused us a great deal. They immediately followed that question up with other inquiries as to the manner in which we were generally mistreated by our stepfather's father-in-law. Brother Jim was afraid to tell them the truth, for fear his guardian would make it all the harder for him in the future. So he denied that he was mistreated, and said that James was good to us. I spoke up when Jim got through, and told the soldiers that my brother was afraid to tell the truth, that James whipped and abused us all the time, and that occasionally he would beat us nearly to death. Jim contradicted the things that I told them, but the soldiers said that if his story had corroborated mine, they would break Jim's neck right there with their rope. This talk, however, frightened Jim all the more, and when they asked him again if old James wasn't making slaves of us, he vigorously denied it. They asked Jim if James had stolen the cow that belonged to Bloxam's daughter, but Jim got further from the truth than ever and denied that too. Well, I knew that James had stolen the cow and killed her for beef, and I told the soldiers that, but the statements that Jim and I had made were conflicting, and the soldiers would not hang him. They still believed James to be guilty, however, and lectured him about an hour and a half before they let him go to bed. They told him they would watch him after that, and see that he conducted himself properly, as long as he lived in that community. Jim and I went back to bed, but could sleep no more the rest of the night for thinking over this exciting episode. If Jim had not...
Okay, this sample was 38 minutes long. We're not going to play the whole entire sample because we want you guys to grab your copy of the book. Sounds like it's going to be one of those emotional books that many people can relate to. As many people grew up in the country and was raised by the hand, or, raised with the notion, spare the rod, spoil the child, or however that goes. So I can see that this book is probably based on a true story. Maybe not the author's true story, but somebody's true story. So you guys grab your copy of this book and check it out. I'm loving how this lipstick goes with the eyeshadow. I don't want to take it off, but I do want to keep playing with the color. So I'll be right back with book number 3 and a new color of lipstick. Alright, y'all, here we go with book number 4. The name of this one is titled Tick Tick Boom. The author is listed as Miss Michelle Moore, and the narrator is Chucks. This is an urban fiction read, so let's check it out. I'm going to try it on this blue and see if I can make it do what it do. Ready, set, go.
This was a chance of a lifetime for him to really come back up in the game and get back on his feet. Reminiscing on all the bad luck he'd suffered over the past year, mostly thanks to Kenya and London, he didn't want to mess things up by overplaying his position. Seconds later, the midnight black Dodge Challenger started to creep. Cautiously, it approached Storm's general direction. As his heartbeat pounded with eager anticipation, not fear, he tossed his phone over onto the passenger seat. Unarmed as he was instructed to be, he felt slightly naked, but it was what it was. He understood he had to earn trust. Yet, instinctively, from growing up in the streets, Storm kept his foot on the brake while the car was in drive. Just in case this was some sort of setup bullshit.
Right.
Dealing in the line of work he did, anything could and would happen at the drop of a dime. If there was one thing Storm knew for sure, it was that hustlers definitely had no honor among thieves. Just because his woman's homeboy, Brother Rasul, had hooked him up with this meeting, that meant nothing. After the way Kenya had just spoken to him, everything seemed suspicious. Raising his left hand to shield the last bit of shine from the setting sun, Storm tightened up his right grip on the steering wheel. The vehicles now side by side both revved their engines as if they were preparing to race. When the driver of the Challenger finally lowered the tinted windows, the anticipation of what to expect was ended. Storm was more than relieved, as well as shocked, to see a female posted up behind the wheel. "Hey, what up, though?" The platinum blonde beauty grinned, winking her eye. "Park your whip, baby boy, and come take a ride with me." Hearing the chick say, "What up, though?" Storm immediately recognized she must have been from Detroit. Oh, hell no. Not another one of these females.
What's wrong with
in the
Detroit
entire
females?
fuck?
What's wrong with Detroit
Yeah,
females?
okay, well, hold tight. Where we going? His first mind told him to ask before stepping out of his car. To the beach, out to dinner, and then maybe to a show. She teased sarcastically before cutting to the chase. Look, guy, are you riding or not? Because if you want me to go back and say you told me to get the fuck on, and you wasn't interested in getting in the car with my cute ass, I can do that. Shit, it ain't a problem.
With my cute
I'ma get paid regardless, any way it go. So that's on you. The choice is yours. Trusting that Brother Rasul wouldn't send him on a dummy mission, especially knowing it would hurt Kenya in the long run, Storm put his car in park. Turning off the ignition, he smoked the female over after getting out of his vehicle. Damn, girl. Slow your roll. I'm coming. Clicking the automatic locks, the feisty, sharp-tongued driver allowed Storm to get inside and shut the door. Look, man, I hope you ain't got no guns or bullshit like that on you, because if you do, nah, my dude already told me ahead of time. I'm straight. Paranoid, he looked in the back seat to make sure no one was hiding there on a sneak ambush attack mission. Okay, so now what's next? Where we headed? Why can't I just follow you? Damn, boy, you ask way too many questions. You sure you ain't the police? Say what? Storm frowned at even the implication of being a so-called officer of the law. Look, nigga, just sit back, relax, and ride. That's what's next. Respecting his gangster for checking out his surroundings, she sized him up while running her fingers through her braids. You want to win or what? The girl asked, laughing after blowing a nice-sized bubble with the gum she was chewing. Mysteriously, the female then sent a text to someone before pulling off. Just then, Storm realized that not only was he at a total disadvantage not having a gun to at least have a fighting chance to protect himself if any wild shit jumped off, but he'd left his cell phone back in his car as well. Hey, hold up, I need my phone, he abruptly blurted out. Look, guy, didn't I just say sit back and ride? She shook her head and smirked before turning out of the deserted parking lot. I see you one of them damn hard-headed recruits. I already done texted that we was on our way, so we on the clock with it, and I ain't being late for no damn body. Not even
She
Jesus.
don't sound like she could be trusted.
After a flashback to the tropical islands and all the torture Javier put him through while he was being held hostage, Storm manned up, rubbing his ear, which was missing the lobe, courtesy of his past host.
Wow. His ear was missing a lobe. He was one earlobe short of an earlobe. So that one sounds like it's going to be a good read. That chick, I don't think he can try. I think he done got into it. He done been set up, and he don't even know it. By the time he realized he'd been set up, he done already got set up. Like, he already hit the court without no weapon, without a phone. So he's asked out, if you ask me, because this chick, I don't believe I can trust her. You guys grab the book, check it out, read through the pages again. It's called Tick, Tick, Boom. Written by Miss Michelle Moore. Urban fiction read. Check it out. I'll be right back with book number 5. Okay, so other than experimenting with lipstick, I'm not sure what I've done here, but I like it. I like it a lot. And we're here with the last book of the day. Book number 5 is titled American Poverty. The author is Laurel Rockefeller. This book is narrated by Alex Freeman and is listed in the category of history books. So let's check this out, and then I'm gonna peace out.
Part 2. Addressing poverty. What then are the consequences of these conditions explored in Part 1? Why should we care if a poor woman is raped or sexually harassed? Why should those who are not in poverty care about public housing conditions, let alone stereotypes about the poor? Why does it matter how much a given family receives in nutritional assistance? Why care about the hardships experienced by the unemployed or those working for minimum wage? Isn't there some measure of personal responsibility in all this? Haven't the wealthy and middle class gotten to where they are because they earned it through their own efforts? Don't the rich and middle class deserve better than the poor?
No, not necessarily.
Once upon a time, when I lived in Lincoln, Nebraska, I carried the official Republican Party line about poverty, wealth, and politics. I believed that Reaganomics was good for the United States, rarely questioning the teachings of my family members who to this day are loyal to the Republican Party. was receiving food stamps, believing like those around me that even if you were hungry, it was shameful to ask for help feeding your family. Then I got out into the world, as university graduates must, and found myself working assorted minimum wage jobs, robbing Peter to pay Paul, and living on credit cards because working 40 hours per week at minimum wage did not earn me enough money to pay rent, utilities, transportation to work, and food. In July 2000, I moved to a suburb of Newark, New Jersey that was walking distance to an express commuter train station and close to several bus routes. It was a good town to live in if you do not drive, except for the drugs, gangs, and lack of ethnic diversity, which made my naturally auburn hair flame out compared to those around me. From there, I worked in the much more affluent Livingston, New Jersey, in what felt like a respectable job as a market research interviewer. Respectable except for the minimum wage pay that drove me into debt, nearly bankrupted me, and had me working 7 to 10 hours per day, 30 days per month for over 4 years straight, with only major holidays off, without pay. This was not flipping burgers, our stereotype of minimum wage work. It wasn't selling on the floor of a retail store, our stereotype of an entry-level job. It was recruiting shoppers to test products, and running the tests and collecting the opinion data for which respondents were financially compensated. Mall recruiting and pay rate aside, I found it a nice application of my bachelor's in psychology. The studies were fun, and I enjoyed seeing potential products we tested in the office become real products in the stores.
And sociology.
If not for that pesky detail of the pay and the constant threat that our office might shut down, and did in 2006, around 18 months after I left, I could have worked there long term. It was fun, fulfilling work. It was a job that decades ago could have become a profession. Professions are lost in the low-pay sector. When you cannot pay all your bills every month because no number of hours worked will actually cover even the basics, you have little choice but to work while looking for work, and losing precious pay when called in for an interview with a potentially higher-paying alternative. I did these jobs as a single person, with only a couple birds as my dependents. How anyone does this in parents is completely beyond me. Can it be any wonder then that in 2012, 46.5 million Americans, including 26.5 million American children under the age of 18, were in poverty, with 49 million children and adults living in food-insecure households? In Washington, Congress loves to frame the issue of poverty, hunger, and its connection to pay inequalities and women in simplified, divisive, and black or white terms. The solution must either come entirely from the government, as it was under FDR's New Deal, or from the private sector via charities like Feeding America. But is this fair? In this next section, I will take on each facet of poverty in America in search of solutions.
That is deep. Books like this, see, that is why my empire is titled 8 books. Anita Tequila, entertaining and enlightening books. Because some books are written to enlighten us, and this is one of those books. And I feel as though there's a lot to learn and to teach. And yeah, the author touched on a lot of deeply rooted issues when it comes to inequality and poverty in America, and not only in America but all across the world. So I definitely want you guys to check this out. This book is going to open up your eyes. I can see right now that there's going to be a lot of facts and history and things embedded in this book that we can all learn from. So I'll be checking out the books that I have sampled here today. I have a long growing list of books to read and review, but these books that I'm sampling on my channel are also added to my list of books to listen to. So I'm going to be checking it out in the future when I get down, as I work my way down my list of books to read and review. And you guys, this has been your girl Anita Tequila. I appreciate you coming through here and checking me out. Check out some of these books that I just sampled today. Until next time, peace.